Hello and welcome back to the Make It Epic Wedding Podcast. You are with Matt and Tim, and boy, have we got an exciting episode for you all today. Man, I'm so excited. How are you doing today, Tim? What is happening?
I am doing well, mate. I'm doing well. Super excited for today. But how's your week been, mate? How has the week of Matt Ashton been?
It's been good. I had only one wedding over the weekend, which was exciting. Got some stuff done. I actually had 1.5 days off properly. Did not touch my phone. Did not touch, anything. And then back in the office for an absolute monster day today. I've pretty much been in my office for about 12 hours, just getting a whole heap of stuff done today. I think I finished 2 weddings and an engagement session, had a couple of meetings, and we recorded a podcast. So it's been a big
Gotta love that.
day today.
Gotta love that.
Got a lot done. So yeah, how about you? What's been happening?
I've had the last week off, which has been nice. It's been kind of refreshing just to not have to really travel. Had a bit of family stuff going on. But more importantly, I purchased something this week, which I'm pretty pumped for. I don't know if you would have seen it on the old stories, but mate, probably the last 6 or so months, I have been using a camcorder, and I've been loving that vibe, loving the kind of film vibe. So I've decided to go out and buy a Super 8 camera.
Ooh, it's exciting. A new form of video format coming this way from above below visuals, which is
I've got to learn how to use it first, but yeah, very nostalgic for sure.
Isn't it pretty expensive to get the film developed and stuff too? It's not a very simple process either, right?
It is not a simple process at all. So you will basically record, and you'll have to obviously records onto film, and you have to pay to get it processed and get it converted from analog to digital format. Yeah, so it's not cheap. It's definitely not cheap. But it's fun. Imagine not actually seeing on your screen what you're recording, and you have to wait till you get that back to actually see if it's actually decent or not.
Old school vibes, bringing back a bit of film goodness. I'm all for it, mate. I'm excited for you. So it's good. Get onto it. And mate, what is? As I said just before, we've got a bloody exciting episode on today, and I'm keen as mustard for this one because it's going to really resonate with a lot of people that are planning their wedding. Let's have a little bit of detail maybe about who we've got on and what's in store for today.
So we have got a couple of ours who are coming towards the end of their wedding planning journey. And I had a chat to these guys for our pre-wedding, final meeting the other week, and I was so impressed with their attitude, their vibe, just their whole process of what they've gone through with their wedding planning journey, and just how confident they are in decisions that they've made, and perhaps the process that they have actually done to enjoy being engaged and enjoy this process of wedding planning as an engaged couple. So we thought we get them on to have a bit of a chat and see if they can drop some golden nuggets. And boy, oh boy, didn't they drop some golden nuggets.
Oh man, so these guys are Kaitlyn and Aiden, and they're getting married at the Woods Farm on the south coast of New South Wales in a couple of weeks' time. Maybe by the time this drops, it could even be within a week or something like that. But yeah, man, it is so exciting and so refreshing to hear from these two who had a really positive experience in planning their wedding as well, which, we feel like everyone should have a positive experience. It shouldn't be that hard. And these guys had a really good time. Their values were there. They're just beautiful human beings who are... Man, I'm so excited to dive into today's episode and just to hear from these two absolute legends.
Yeah. So if you are a couple that are planning your wedding, this one is definitely for you. This is right up your alley. There is some useful advice, and Kaitlyn and Aiden as well, dropping some golden nuggets, which I think we can take a little bit of advice from them specifically on some of the points that they've made. I'm not gonna give away too much because it's just too good. I was so impressed with just their ability to enjoy being engaged, enjoy being fiance, and their whole wedding planning journey was just gone off. I feel like without a hitch. Specifically because of the things that they did. So let's get stuck into it. Let's hear from let's get stuck into it. Let's hear from Kaitlyn and Aiden. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Make It Epic Wedding Podcast, and we're with Kaitlyn and Aiden. We're special guests today because, mate, why don't you tell the audience why these guys are so special?
Mate, it's the first time we've ever done this, and we're actually getting a couple on prior to them even having their wedding, just to talk a little bit of smack, a little bit of fun, and maybe find out a little bit about their experience so far, because I think Kaitlyn will probably tell us in a minute, or maybe Aidan can, because they put him on the spot, throw him under the bus. But, is it like 6 weeks away or something like that? You guys are getting married? How long away is it, mate? Maybe tell us in days.
Yeah, Aidan.
No, I can tell you
How
weeks.
long?
It's 5 weeks. Come on.
Actually, he's wrong because it's a month from
See,
tomorrow.
it's already started.
Oh,
That's so good.
amazing. Well, Kaitlyn and Aiden, welcome to the podcast. We are absolutely amazed that you guys are here, and thank you for staying while we had some difficulties setting up. So we're glad you have some confidence in our ability to run a podcast and also to shoot your wedding.
As mentioned before, we are paying you for the wedding, not for the podcast, so that's okay.
No, well, we're happy about that. Well, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who is Kaitlyn? Who is Aiden?
Well, I'm Kaitlyn. I am a teacher. I am 27. We've been together for almost 10 years now, 9 years by the time we get
I
married.
think, no.
So yeah, just living our lives. We got a little dog baby that we love very much, who's hiding downstairs now so he doesn't bark and distract everyone. But yeah, that's me, I guess. And you?
Oh, I'm Aidan, and I'm 32 now, aren't I? I can't remember.
I'm here because Kaitlyn said I had to be here.
I'm a builder, and as Kaitlyn said, we've got a fur baby who's downstairs, so we can't bark at everybody. And there's not much about me that everyone needs to know.
Builders represent. I like it, mate. I'm a builder by trade. I think we've had this conversation before, back in the day before I got into weddings. So, mate, I know it's a bit weird going from a building site to now sitting on a podcast. What are the boys going to say at work tomorrow? What'd you do last night, mate?
I was talking about how I planned my wedding with my almost wife.
All the things I've done, how organised I've been.
How wrong I am.
Grooms represent. Absolutely love it. Well, look, guys, we wanted to get you on because we wanted to get a little bit of insight into why you've made some of the decisions that you've had when you've planned your wedding. And look, Matt and I are pretty excited. Just to spill the beans, Matt and I are going to be the photographer and videographer at your wedding. So obviously just super, super pumped. And you've got such an epic vendor team and we cannot wait. 5 weeks counting down. Boom.
Very, very excited to have everyone on board that we do.
Well,
Amazing.
you go, Matt. Let's jump into a bit of rapid fire. Just Matt and I talking over each other. That's all right. Always.
I was like, is he going to say something or not? We're going real well tonight, aren't we? So yeah, as Tim said, we're going to start off with some rapid fire because, it's easy to get to know you guys a little bit more. You guys will feel a little bit more comfortable having a chat with us if you weren't already. So as quick as it comes to mind, favourite movie?
High School Musical.
Ace Ventura.
Wow, they're very different. I love that.
Yeah, they're very different ends.
Yeah. Coffee after 5 p.m. Yes or no?
Nah.
What word do you guys have a hard time pronouncing?
Every word for me, because I'm tongue-tied.
Didn't you get the snip, mate?
My favourite thing to recognise is every time Aidan says a word wrong because he adds like little things to the end of every word and it's so funny.
Oh, we need some examples for this for the wedding. That'll be great. I'm excited already. What's your non-curse word, like your best non-curse word insult?
Ooh.
I don't think I have one.
I don't know.
Oh, mine's righto. Whenever I'm annoyed, I'm like, yeah, righto. it. She hates it so much.
She hates it. This is so good. This is almost like online counselling currently. I don't know what we're going to get out of this.
Yeah, it's gone that way.
Yeah.
All right, last one. I feel like this is my favorite one that we ask anyone at all is, if you were to buy an exotic pet, it can't be a dog, okay? So if you could buy an exotic pet, what would it be?
Meerkat.
Ooh.
Once you can.
All right. I like that. That's good.
They're cool. You can train it.
I don't know.
Amazing. Have you got one more, Tim? I feel like you got one. You're looking at me like.
Oh, no. How do you know I'm looking at you? There's 3 screens here. Actually, I've got one. What are you most excited for after the wedding?
I said it today actually because I saw it on Vanderpump Rules. But there was a character that was like, no, I have a husband, none of my friends have a husband. So I'm excited to be able to say that.
That was a good song. I like that. You can sing. Do you want to sing a jingle for us? We've been asking a lot of people. Maybe you can sing a jingle.
About having a husband.
Yeah, we can add that in. That's great. So obviously, you guys are coming, like, we said before, you're about a month pretty much away from your wedding now. I should say 5 weeks just to give Ada some brownie points, but that's okay. But you're about a month away from your wedding, and you guys are obviously been pretty excited by the whole thing. I feel like you've been booked in for a fair while with us, which is I love it when people get in early. They get the people they want around them, which is great, and we're big on that, making sure that you're having people around you that you're super excited for. And I feel like, for me personally, I'm extra excited because we've done an engagement session together, and so maybe let's just start off really early on and just have a quick chat about that, because I'm keen to hear, like, maybe even from Aidan too, like, how do you guys feel after having an engagement session? Do you feel a little bit more like relaxed, a little bit like the pressure's off a little bit for the wedding and the wedding portrait portion of the day?
Oh yeah, you definitely put me more at ease. Because I was like, I'm going to ruin all these photos and everything else because I don't really take photos that often. So you put me at ease with it. It was fun.
That's
it was
good.
A good experience. It was really good.
Yeah. Awesome. How do you feel, Kaitlyn?
Yeah, I think same for me. Like, we're not a big, photos and posing kind of couple on the regular basis. So I think it was really important to me to get, Aidan feeling a bit more comfortable, because, being a girl, I'll still take a good selfie every now and then, but he is not about photos at all. So it was really important for me not only to go and get some photos, but I guess to meet you as well, Matt, so that we felt a bit more comfortable and we were prepped for the day and kind of knew we were already really confident in the choices that we'd made. But after meeting you and chatting to about all of our other vendors as well, it just made going into the wedding so much more exciting, because I feel like there's no strangers there on the day. I feel like we literally know everyone, and we feel like we have a relationship with everyone already, which just puts us both so at ease for the whole day. We're excited for when on the timeline you guys get here and get to the wedding, and we're excited that we get to go and do our little shoot with you guys and not have everyone there, and feel like, yeah, we already know you as friends as well as our vendors.
Wow,
how good is that?
Amazing. That's so good.
It's a big thing,
Yeah,
right? Because I
ridiculous.
feel like sometimes we have to work a little bit harder with the grooms, but I think it's maybe just our personality as well. Obviously, being blokes, we're not there just to go over there, kiss, go over there, pose. For us as well, we want to have fun. We want you guys to have fun, and it's it's not about getting the best photos, the best videos, and what we want is to bring out the things that make you guys you, and that's why you go through this process with us. That's why we ask these questions. But I suppose let's bring it back to when you guys first booked, right? Did you have an idea of the direction that you wanted for your wedding, or has it changed along your wedding planning journey?
I think I had an idea of how I wanted it to go, and as soon as I explained that to Aidan, he was very much on board with the vibes, because we're not a very serious couple. We're the party people in our friends. We organize all the events and host fun things, and so having a serious kind of traditional wedding really wasn't our vibe. And I think that we hadn't really had the conversation about it before we got engaged, but once we did, and I shared with Aidan the kind of vibes that I wanted, and showed him your videos, Tim, so that he kind of saw more of what the vibe is that we would want, that it doesn't have to be traditional. It can be fun and it can be silly, and like we can all just have a great time and it still be a wedding. I think like, yeah, because I had that in mind from the start, it hasn't really changed. We've kind of followed that direction and just really tried to make the whole wedding very much us as a couple rather than what I guess you would say is the traditional style kind of wedding.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
That's why we
feel...
love to ask. Sorry, Matt, you go.
No, I was just like literally at a point where I was just like, I just want to say like that sums up probably half the reason why we made Make It Epic, realistically. Like, when you think about everything that we do and everything we say, like at the end of the day, we want to make sure that I guess like our couples have the power to do things the way they want to do it, and to, you know, yes, there's still traditional aspects to every single wedding, whether you want it or not, but the whole day doesn't have to be traditional, and there's no rules around the stuff that we're doing, you know, like, so just by like what you said literally brings a smile to my face. And I think if you're in the car or if you're wherever you are currently listening, if you don't have a smile on your face after hearing that, like there's something wrong, because, you know, you should be excited by the way you're doing things.
100%.
I think it's going to sound like, sorry, a complete plug for your podcast, which I swear, listeners, it is not. But when we met you, Matt, you talked to us about doing this podcast because you guys hadn't started the podcast yet. And you let us know that it was something you and Tim were talking about doing. And so from that point, most of our vendors were already booked and all of our big things were really booked. So even as a couple who had, because I've made Aidan listen to it too, because it is epic. Even as a couple who already had so many vendors booked, it's just made me feel more confident going into it, that like the discussions that we'd had separately, you've got other vendors on and other past couples on, and it really is reflected in what you guys have said already. So I think it is, you guys are doing a great job about making everyone a bit more confident, I think, going into their day.
Amazing. We absolutely love that.
So good.
We're not gonna be able to walk out of our room now because our heads are gonna be too big.
I know, and it's pretty. Maybe we could spill the beans too, because one of our past vendors, the man himself, Mr. Married by Adam, is your celebrante, which is pretty amazing as well. So you're going to have the trio of, I don't know, goodness there, that's for sure. The vibes will be legit. I'm a bit scared just because whenever the three of us get together, it's always a good time.
Yes.
Makes us excited. This is great.
But yeah. So look, going back, it was a big reason why we started this podcast, right? Like we wanted to like arm couples with the confidence to make some decisions, you know, that it's more unique to them, like make decisions that are for them, like for their own wedding. And I feel like, you know, we wanted to get you guys on because you guys have absolutely nailed this. And I know we had a chat the other week and we're kind of going through the run sheet and we're going for like our final meeting, and I'm like, you know what, like this is perfect, like this is just so good. Everything's like organized to a T, but like there's room in your day for just things to happen and to naturally occur, and it just leaves so much like room for you guys to do exactly what you want. And we, like, Matt and I have a bit of a game plan. I even had a bit of a video chat with Mr. Sini, and I'm like, what ruckus can we make during Kaitlyn and Aiden's wedding?
So excited.
Always down for a giggle.
Always down for a giggle. That's so good. I'm so excited because I feel like, yeah, as I said before, like we've got a good crew around you guys, and it makes me really excited that, you know, like not only like did you start listening to us post us actually starting it up, you'd already made really great decisions, and you know, like I don't feel like, you know, everybody makes amazing decisions every single wedding, you know, but for you guys, you literally like have made a real point of it. And I feel like, you know, we're all about like setting out like, you know, your negotiables and non-negotiables, and I feel like you guys did that really well from the start. So maybe like let's just talk quickly like a little bit about like, you know, what have you found in the planning process so far up to date, like easy?
I think picking our key vendors for us was easy. We knew, like, venue, we're getting married at the Woods Farm, so we knew that was my dream venue. We locked that in 2 weeks after getting engaged because I'm impatient.
Get it done.
So good. Let's record it.
And then I think one of our big priorities was that we wanted vendors who had worked together previously, so like knew each other well, but also suited our vibe. So we knew that we wanted Tim as the videographer and Matt as you as the photographer. And then we kind of went through, I guess, some suggestions that you guys put forward, which happened to match people that we'd already kind of flagged on our radar as priority for us, which worked well. But I think it was even easier because so many of the vendors that we picked do like pre-wedding chats or little Zoom meetings or something so that you can meet them before you're completely locked in. And that was really important for, I would say more so Aidan, to just get a vibe of them, because I think like it's very easy for me as the bride to kind of have my ideas and know what I want because I've seen it and I'm stalking everyone's Instagram and I'm like doing absolutely everything I can to like figure out who these people are. Whereas for Aidan, it's just kind of a list of people that I'm putting forward. So for him to be able to chat to them and really get to know their vibe and see that like, oh, okay, this is going to be fun. I don't need to feel awkward or uncomfortable during my day. Like I can go in there and as nervous as I'm sure he'll be, still feel relaxed because of the people around him that we're working with. So I think, yeah, choosing all of our vendors was really easy for us. Like we had our list of people and everyone recommended each other, so it worked well.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, amazing. Well, Aidan, let's bring you on let's put you on the spot, mate. Like, I suppose, like, Kaitlyn mentioned, like, you built this confidence, right? So, like, at what point did you realize, okay, like, I'm really, like, confident in, like, decisions that we've made together as a couple, but, like, you know, typically as a groom that, like, has more of, like, a back seat, and your fiance usually does, like, most of the planning and making most of the decisions, but, like, what gave you the confidence that you were like, okay, like I'm so down, like I'm so aligned in decisions that Kaitlyn's making, that we're just making this as a team now?
Oh, I'd say it was like what you said, like meeting everyone was just really good. That's what really.
Yeah.
You go, yep, cool, we're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Well, I suppose like there you go, right? Like,
in case you haven't noticed, I'm the talker in the relationship.
I thought this was actually a planning meeting for Aidan to find out about the wedding, but that's okay. We're actually recording a podcast. Yeah.
Wait, we're getting married?
So...
Oh my gosh, 5 weeks.
What is it? Was there anything, I guess, like obviously talking about like some of these planning stuff, like was there anything you found, like I guess maybe for you, Aidan, or maybe for Kaitlyn too, but like was there anything you guys found like difficult or like, you know, that you were like you struggled with a little bit?
Oh, I was probably like just realizing how much everything costs, really. That's my biggest downfall with things. Even though I'm a builder and that, when it comes to you paying for things, that's when you're like, oh, yeah, well, okay, that's dearer than what I thought it was. But you guys weren't. You guys were fine with your pricing. Yeah, it was really good.
He's like, I don't even know what I'm paying them, but it's fine. If you're watching this, it's different. But if you're listening, Kaitlyn currently has her hand over her face, shaking her head left and right at the answer of he has no idea how much things cost. But you know, it is interesting. Like, you know, when it comes to like, you know, obviously touching quickly on money, like a lot of people do think that like, you know, like obviously budgets are important, right? But like when it came to like the budget for some of your things, were you guys happy to maybe like stretch the budget for things that you found really important to you guys? Or like, did you like have a bit of a like list and you were like in your non-negotiables being like, we have to do this even if it costs us X amount, and we're okay to maybe not do a certain aspect because it wasn't as important / didn't align with our values as much?
Yeah, so I think from the start, we kind of sat down and did like a little non-negotiables chat. And for us, the value, like we were paying for quality. So we knew what we wanted. Like we researched the vendors, we looked at them. Like we did look into a few different places, even when looking at venues. Obviously the Woods was like my dream venue, but we still did look into other things. Like you can't go into it blindly. But we knew the kind of quality that we wanted, and we knew our like biggest priorities for the day. So when it came to how much things were, it was kind of like, okay, well, this is the product that we want. This is what we like. This is what we've seen really hits the kind of people that we are and what we want to be produced at the end of it. So it wasn't, that's probably why Aidan has no idea, because we didn't really delve that deeply into the final prices after we made the decisions of what we wanted.
There you go, people. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Aidan's like secretly just going red on red. He's like, oh, I just need to build this house quicker. More profit.
All of these builds right now.
Taylor, where are the bills?
Where's that money to finish that roof off? Oh, it's gone. Classic. That's so good. I don't know what I was going to say then.
That's right. So, what do you? Let's go with like each year, right? So, Kaitlyn, what's probably been like the most enjoyable aspect of your like wedding planning journey?
I think for me, I'm big on like making it fun. So I guess I came up with any excuse to like celebrate and go do things for the wedding that would be exciting. So like even for like the 6 months before the wedding, we went away for the weekend, and that's where we sat together and did the seating plan. And because we have all of the guests staying at the venue, we did like the accommodation plan. So kind of making every moment like fun. Even when we did like Adam's little survey for the ceremony, we like had a few drinks and sat down together and like did it like that. So I think it was like the best parts for me have been where we've been able to make it like an experience together and do it together. And that way, at least Aidan feels like he's a little bit involved.
That's actually that is solid. That is amazing.
My golden nugget.
That's good.
That is
golden
Kaitlyn's
nugget.
golden nugget. Holy hell! Well done.
Colton. Oh, she's so happy with herself right now. Too. Can I just say, you may be the most organized bride in the history of bridal world by saying you're doing your. Did you just say you're doing your seating plan 6 months prior to your wedding? That's like, I have couples where I meet them like 2 weeks before, and they're like, "What time are we going to do the cake cutting?" Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and you're already doing your seating plan 6 months prior. Like, it's that's amazing.
I didn't want to get stressed. Like,
yeah.
I
Oh,
wanted
that's
to
all.
enjoy the process. So I was kind of like, let's make it a moment. Like, let's go celebrate that. The count. Like, we started planning. I don't think we've said it yet. From 18 months before the wedding. Because that was when, like, we got engaged 18 months before we started booking everything in. So we had the time. So I kind of, like, set little targets throughout so that we could enjoy the process, because I know what I'm like when I'm stressed. And we didn't want to get to, like, a time right before the wedding where we were stressed and, like, I felt like I was on edge and not enjoying. Stop
Aidan's
looking at Aidan like that.
And Aidan's getting yelled at every 5 seconds.
Oh, that is so good.
So good. Well, I
Aidan-
want to maybe just. I just
Sorry.
was thinking just then. I just wanted to just. Me and Tim are so excited to hear from you guys. That's why we literally don't know. We have so much we want to say, and so we're both just getting too keen. But I just wanted to break down a little bit, like how you made the decision. Obviously, you booked the Woods Farm really quickly, right? 2 weeks after being engaged. I just had a quick look there, and you booked me at literally 18 months to the day. Before your wedding, which is wild. But how did you come up with the Woods Farm? Obviously, like, the Woods Farm is a pretty amazing venue. It's pretty unique in a sense of, like, yes, there is accommodation on there and all that sort of stuff. I guess what brought you to, the Woods Farm to be the winning venue, so to speak? Maybe just talk to us about that, like, real quick.
I think for us, like I said, the kind of people that we are, we love celebrating. Like, we love throwing a good party, and, like, I made Aidan go away for the 1 year before the wedding and the 6 months, because I just want to celebrate everything. So I think for us, like, the Woods Farm obviously is a stunning venue. So I was completely obsessed with the way it looked for ages. And then the idea of having everyone there with us to make it a full weekend, because we've spoken about the fact that I want to be able to enjoy the wedding without feeling like I have to rush to talk to people, or like, obviously we love everyone that's there, but like, I don't want to have to rush off and talk to people or feel like I'm missing out on like spending that quality time with people, or like not getting to dance because people want to say goodbye, or all the things like that like I guess can disrupt the fun a little bit. So I guess priority for us was that we had everyone come down on the Friday so we can welcome everyone, and then we really get to enjoy the Saturday and then reflect with everyone on the Sunday, but feel like we got to spend a good amount of time with everyone. There's no one there that we didn't get to check in with. And even if people don't necessarily get to spend time with us at the ceremony or at the reception, they still don't feel like they just showed up and didn't get to see us or celebrate with us. So I think that's why it was such a priority for us to have a venue that was all inclusive and like a 3-day wedding.
What have you guys got planned the night before, on the Friday night? What's happening?
So the Woods Farm hosts like a wood fire pizza welcome night thing. So we're going to do that and a few, when I say few, like minimal bevs. just so people aren't too hungover on a Saturday.
Yeah,
Um,
good stuff.
and then they also, which I don't know if it, like many people know, but the Woods Farm also hosts yoga in the wedding chapel on the day before or the morning of your wedding, if it's something that you choose. So it's gonna be a nice little way for like me and the girls to kind of like relax, really like take a moment before the weekend, and then have all of our guests show up, have the wood fire pizza, hang out with everyone, just chill for a little bit before we all go to bed so we get a good night's rest.
Get ready for beer pong.
I'm sure that
Saturday. Don't you worry.
Yeah, we knew.
I've shot a couple of weddings where this has been like like these, like, I guess they have the day before and the day after. Like there's a few venues on the coast, and you know there are a few venues all around that do this. It's always funny having a chat to the people who did stay the night before, being like, "Oh, how'd you guys go yesterday? You know, like how was last night? How many drinks do you have?" There's always a mixed bag of response. There's always one person that's had one too many bevies. The liquid courage never went astray that the night before for some people, but I definitely do think that you know, it takes so much pressure off your wedding if you do have the opportunity to be able to hang out with your guests like 24 hours prior to the ceremony, you know, and things like that. Like it takes so much pressure off you guys being able to like really like enjoy the day and really like, I guess, work out what you I don't know, like what is the value, I guess what the value is in for you guys. You know, there's no pressure to not have photos at the correct time of the day. There's no pressure to not have to speak to every single member there, because if you're having 100 plus guests, there's no way you're speaking to every single person properly at a wedding anyway. So yeah, I definitely see it as a, like, yes, it's expensive to have a 3-day, essentially 3-day inverted commas wedding, quote unquote, but at the end of the day, there's so much value around that too.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you guys have really like built into your run sheet as well, like so much like time to be able to do the things that you want to do. Like you've like set like a really reasonable ceremony time. Like we've got a couple of things planned, and like even just having some time to like go back to canapes and enjoy canapes like yourself. Like you're paying money for this entertainment, for this food, like, and you get to go and actually, you know, talk to your family and friends, have a chat. And like it gives us a good opportunity to also like capture that as well, but also to capture it because it's so important to you both. So yeah, your run sheet is just, yeah, you've really thought through exactly what you want and you've put that into your run sheet, and it's like just so clear and aligned with all of your vendors and yourself. And yeah, we love it.
Thank you, Ange at Lovers and Co.
Ange, Adam, legends.
Bloody
Love it.
legends.
Great.
So excited for the A team to be on board that day for sure. Is there like, I guess I want to kind of dive into a little bit more. Like, you know, have you got like any, like talking about golden nuggets and things like that? Have you got any like more golden nuggets or advice about people who are like kind of fresh to planning in their early stages? Like, you know, like if you had your time again, I don't know, but it sounds like you're really enjoying this wedding planning business, but you know, like if you had your time again, is there anything that you would do differently or any just advice in general?
I don't know, like you said, I've actually really enjoyed it. So I don't know if there is anything I would do differently, but I think that like the whole time, like as much as we joke that Aidan doesn't know what's going on, we have had like open conversations about like what we want and what I guess I've envisioned for the day, because I think that's always a bit of pressure, and potentially why grooms don't get as involved is because like it's always seen as the day that the bride's always dreamed of. So like they always want to make sure that the bride's happy, and I guess like making sure that the groom knows that it's important for them as well. Like as much as I've been the main one to find the vendors and make most of the decisions around the wedding, like it has been things that I know represent Aidan and I as a couple and represent exactly what we would both want and how we would both want to spend the day. So I think having those conversations and like getting the groom involved as much as you can, just because it is actually so exciting when you have someone to bounce all the information off. Like I said before, like taking the time to celebrate all of those moments, like if it's something that you can do that, like as well as making Aidan go away for those 2 days, those 2 different trips. I also had my auntie organize like a bottomless brunch for the start of the wedding year, and then like because we have to bring our own, like it's BYO alcohol for us, for our vendors, like we went and did like a red wine tasting with my family and Aidan's family, and then a white wine tasting, and like really just got everyone involved in this huge celebration that for everyone has been going for 18 months.
Yeah.
It won't just
I'm so excited. It's so
Yeah.
and I love that you put effort into all of these things, because some people get married, they plan this whole wedding, and they just don't enjoy the engagement period because they don't know how to. So if you're listening, maybe this is a really cool way to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like you want, like everyone says, like you're spending all this money, you're doing all of this for one day. Like ours is obviously like a 3-day event, but it doesn't have to be for one day. Like you can make this whole period a celebration. We even did like again, because I love making everything a celebation, we did a beer Olympics so that all of the bridal parties could meet. So like I ran a full beer Olympics with like bride and groom, bridesmaids, groomsmen, plus ones. Like there was like 16 of us. We did like these huge events all themed around the wedding at the start of the year just to make it fun, because why
You should
not?
do
Like,
this the night before.
I can't
The
wait.
night before, you should have made a theme. You should have made a theme for the night before.
no,
The Woods Olympics.
Me and Tim need to be invited to this next party of yours.
Avengers Beer Olympics.
I feel like we're missing out the night before now.
I know. Maybe we'll turn up.
Why not? Always welcome.
Aidan, mate, what's some advice you'd give to the grooms and the blokes out there? All right, as a almost groom yourself, you've gone through this whole process with obviously an absolute powerhouse of a fiance, doing all the right things. What's some advice that you would give to the boys out there?
Oh, just listen. Don't jump to conclusions about things. Don't think you know it all either, because I tried that one thing and I got shut down pretty quick.
Oh, you're in trouble, mate.
No.
Okay.
Happy with things.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you think all the the celebrations that that Kaitlyn wanted to do, like, do you think that like really like helped in those moments for you to like get some confidence and actually like be confident in decisions that you were making for your wedding?
Oh yeah, pretty much. Like, I couldn't believe all the little tiny like away trips that we were doing and stuff. It was really good. It made me feel better about everything we're doing.
Yeah, you guys must have made a lot of decisions.
Booked Matt and Tim, go away for a holiday. booked Adam, booked his missus, go away for a holiday.
After all the process of me going, okay, we'll do it. She's like, it's stressful, let's go away again.
That's how I'm so cool,
Yeah,
calm,
that's
and
why she's
collected.
calm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I only made one decision, there was a trip away. Nah.
Well, Matt and I typically find, like, usually kind of around, like, the month before, like, a wedding, like, couples will be in, like, one of, like, two areas, right? They'll be, like, super, like, confident with the wedding, or it'll be, like, absolute panic stations. And obviously, you're very confident, and I think we can put that down to, like, your systems and your processes for your like wedding planning and decisions that you've made were just so in line with what you wanted, your values and your vision for both of you. But is there anything else that is leading, like not just like your planning and preparation, but is there something else that's leading you to be so confident prior to the wedding? Like, is it maybe perhaps it's your attitude leading into it? Like, you've got a couple of things planned a week before the wedding just to maybe spend some time with the girls, or Aiden's going out with the guys, bucks parties, hens parties.
We've done all of that.
Oh, why am I not surprised?
I know. We've got it ticked off.
The sass around that too, Tim. You should know this.
Have you not been listening to how protected I am? I think just going into it knowing that like we can spend those last couple of weeks really just getting even more excited. Like, we don't necessarily need to organize specific things for us to like stop and really enjoy the moment, because we've done all the planning, and like really from like the 4th and 3rd week there's not much more you can do. Like, everything's planned, everything's decided, you can't go back to your caterers, like every decision is made by then. So I think that's where the anticipation of like what could potentially come can set in. But I think really if you're confident in the people that you've chosen to be there on the day, like if you are confident in like your bridal party and all of the vendors that you've picked, like the day's going to end up being whatever the day's going to end up being. You've done everything you can, you have all the right people there, and you know that. And if you're going into it confidently like that, I think it's fine. And obviously, like, if you're a little bit confident with the person you're marrying, that helps as well. But
Well, you guys have only been together for like, what, 10 years or something? So, you know, I feel like you should know by now, hopefully, and you're spending a little bit of coin on this. So, you know, it's good. I'm glad that you're so confident. And look, even Aidan looks confident right now. He's got a smile on his face. He's not so scared. It's good.
are you sure?
This is exactly it. Oh, too good. This is exactly what we mean, right? Like when we're saying, like, on your wedding day, like everything prior to the wedding, it's already been done, right? Your planning has been done. Nothing you can do is going to change anything, and it comes down to your attitude. And yeah, it's pretty clear, like, we're going to have an absolute ball.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I definitely think so.
I was actually having a chat to a couple tonight about just like talking about like a little bit of like, you know, like they were a little bit nervous and stressed about their wedding, and like it's about, I don't know, I think they're a couple of weeks after you. So, you know, like they're getting to that pointy end. And it was interesting. It came to mind when I was chatting. I was like, even thinking about like the timeline and all the nitty gritty stuff that I suppose in the last probably month or two, everyone's been asking you guys about, right? Like it's probably been like, I feel like there's a bit of radio silence in that middle section, and then it gets to like 3 months out and everyone's like pew 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 asking you questions left, right and center, and it gets a little bit like, I'm sure it gets overwhelming, right? And I kind of said to this couple tonight, I was like, you know what, no matter what wedding you go to, no matter how much you've planned it, at the end of the day, the end result's the same. You're going to have a great time. There's going to be food there. There's going to be drinks there. Most importantly, your celebrant will turn up and you'll be married, right? And at the end of the day, we're getting married for this reason. And yes, there's a party and there's all that goodness involved, but would you say that, like, you know, in your like planning process so far, yes, you've been very organized, but like, was there any like hesitations or nervousness around, like, I guess, like just the little nitty gritty things, you know, that like everyone kind of gets in the like last few weeks?
Yeah, I think like obviously planning a wedding for most of us, it's our first time, so there was a lot of things that I didn't know. And I guess that's potentially the only thing I would say that I would change slightly, would be in those moments where I felt unsure, like reaching out. Like I know I did reach out and ask a few questions, but there's always so many things, like you don't know what you don't know. So I guess that part can be stressful, and that part did get to me a little bit because I was like, what about this? Like, I don't know about this. I don't know about that. But as soon as I started reaching out to those vendors as well, all the questions get answered. Like, you guys all have experience, like even the venues that you book at, like they have all the experience, they can answer all of those questions for you. That's what they're there for. And I think like on the flip side of that though, like it is important to wait until that 6 week or like 3 months, at the 3 month mark is where I guess you start getting all of that information from your vendors and they start reaching out, asking you for things. And I think like it's also important to wait till that moment. Like obviously we've been planning for a long time, and as much as everything was kind of set, you don't want to plan too much too early because you will change your mind. So trusting in the timeline that your vendors have is really important as well, because if a decision doesn't need to be made yet, then just hold off, don't make it. Like they will ask you the questions that they need to ask. Like even our caterer sent us 100 questions the other day. Literally it was called 100 questions that we had to fill out with information for them, but it was everything that we would need. So like I think just waiting, and like you will get all of those questions asked, and take the time to like fill them out. Like we did lots of them together. Like take the time to think about what you want, but they're asking everything that you need to know. So try to just trust completely in the vendors that you've picked, because they have experience, they've done it before. They're asking you the questions when they need the answers. It's just a little bit frustrating that everyone does it at once. Maybe not frustrating, overwhelming, that everyone does it at once, but the timeline works. That's why it's there, so it's fine.
Dropping those golden nuggets. Love it.
Oh my goodness. I feel like, and if I just want to take like one little thing you just said out of like that whole amazing just golden nugget that you just made for us, but the one thing that I just want to like, I guess, point out and highlight quickly again and just remind everybody is like, Kaitlyn's just said, like, trust your vendors, number one. And number two, like, don't be scared to reach out and ask a question, because the amount of, like, anxiety that can relieve by asking that question, and it can be a very simple question. Like, for me, sometimes if someone sends me an Instagram message and it's one of my couples who have booked me and they want to have a quick chat about something, sometimes it's like 1 or 2 messages back and forth, and I've just relieved 2 weeks of heartache for that person of stressing over, like, for me, what may be a very minute detail, but for them is something quite large, you know. And I want, like Tim's the same, we want you to like lean on us. We want you to ask questions. We want to make this process simple for you. But if you don't ask us, we don't know what you're stressed about. So I just wanted to like reiterate that and just like highlight that, because I feel like that is such an important point that can really make your wedding experience so much better and so much less stressful before you've even got to the day specifically.
Yeah, exactly. Like look at Kaitlyn now. Like she's a cool cat. Her wedding's in a couple of weeks.
She's ready. Yeah, but imagine how much like, and if you kind of, I feel like as well, like just bouncing off, I just thought of something else to say. If you aren't comfortable in approaching your vendors and asking them that question, are you sure you should have booked that vendor in the first place? Or maybe that's a thing to think about, you know, like if you're thinking about booking someone and you have that conversation with them, or you're not okay to ask questions in the booking process, maybe that's not the vendor for you.
And I think off the back of that, like we mentioned it before, that we booked in with you, Matt, for an engagement shoot. Like if you're feeling unsure about your vendor, like reach out and do those things, like have the conversations, book in for a little mini shoot. Like it was 30 minutes that we spent with you, and like walked out of it feeling super confident with you as the photographer, but with all of our other vendors as well. Like it's great to just be able to have those short, sharp conversations with someone you know has worked with those people before. Like it just puts your mind so at ease.
Absolutely. And maybe if you're sitting on the fence about, you know, like maybe you can just give some insight, right? If you're a couple that is thinking about doing an engagement session, you know, maybe it's not with me, but it's with your own photographer, maybe your videographer does an engagement session, something like that. If you're sitting on the fence about it, what would your advice be as a couple who have done an engagement session before to them, if they should book one or not?
Yeah, I definitely think book one. I think for us, like, because we did chat about, like, you as our photographer, and there was a couple of others that we did flag. And for us, like, talking to Tim when we had our Zoom with him about the different styles that you guys had as photographers, and what it would look like on the day with the other photographer versus what it would look like with you, Matt, as the photographer, that set our mind at ease, because we knew that he'd worked with you. But it's a whole different ballgame once you actually meet them in person. Like, I feel like, yeah, talking to you and like messaging you and everything is great, but being face to face with the people, like working with like the little prompts that you use, or like even just the way that you do things. Like I think it was something so little, but I was walking, you're like, Kaitlyn, fix your hair, like fix it at the back, there's a funny kink or something in it. And like as we were taking photos, like quickly fix it, like something so minute like that. Straight away, like I walked away from it, I told my friends, I was like, guys, he even told me to fix my hair, like we got
And I've done a few shoots with some of your like family and friends since that, which is pretty exciting. So it's very, very cool. But yeah, I love that. I definitely get, as you know, I'm a big fan of engagement shoots. I find that they definitely just help the vibes on the day just that little bit more. Like anyone who ever does an engagement session, I know whenever me and Tim rock up to those sessions, to like the wedding, if I've done an engagement session, they just are like, hey, how you guys going? And they're so excited because I've probably already talked to them about how the fact me and Tim are super excited to be a part of their wedding. Like they've experienced some of the, like, you know, the photo aspect of the day, which is quite similar to what we'll do obviously when Tim's there as well with a video camera. Like, so at the end of the day, like you've experienced a whole big bunch of the day, which some people have a lot of anxiety or funny feelings about. It's very common. Not everyone's comfortable in front of a camera, but I do think it definitely elevates your experience on the day.
And that's why it goes beyond just like choosing like a vendor just for their work, right? Like, 'cause it's not just about their work. It's about like who they are as a person, because you are spending probably more time like with your photographer and videographer like during the day than potentially your partner, right? So like what is more important to you? Like, is it just their work, or should there be quite a bit of value placed on who they are as a person? Like, do you get along with them? Like, do you vibe well? Like for me, and that's what like it's all about, like having like a team around you that you are so comfortable with that you can be yourself. And as a videographer, like that for me is priority number one, like making sure that you've got a team around you that allows you to be yourself. And like already we know it's going to be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I think that was super important to us. Like I said, like jumping on with all of our vendors and making sure that we vibe with them as people was so important. And I think just as well on the engagement shoot before you have your wedding, for us, like it was great for us that we knew you, but also like you're always going to have people's input on your wedding. Like, whether you're making your own decisions, whether you've got family or friends jumping in as well. Like, for us, not only did we know that we were comfortable working with you as our photographer, but like, as you mentioned, like, so many of our family now and our friends have jumped in and done shoots with you. And like, my mum was the typical like, yeah, but I'll still take photos on my phone, because sometimes like you get a better photo on your iPhone than you do on a camera. And as soon as she saw your photos match, she was like, okay, yeah, I'll put my phone away. Like, even just little things like that, like, it makes everyone else so like excited about what's going to be produced as well, that like, if you're wanting to do like no phones at your ceremony, that's really great as well, because you can be like, but look at what we already got. Like, we have proof of how great it's going to be. Phones away, like, we don't need these out. Like, it is going to be great. So I think everyone goes into it feeling more comfortable and more confident and excited about it as a whole experience.
Yeah, and it's another moment to, just like you've been saying the whole time, like, it's another moment to enjoy the engagement period as well. Like, it's another moment to celebrate. It's another moment to remember you're engaged. You're only engaged for a small amount of time. It's definitely a great moment. Yeah, like me and Tim have always said, like, you've got to put your blinkers on when it comes to planning your wedding too, right? Like, just touching base a little bit on what you were saying about like family and friends and their 2 cents. Like, we love input from family and friends. Like, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of things that we do without them, but at the end of the day, it is very important to put those blinkers on, to remember that it's your day as a couple, and that, like, you're planning this for you, you're spending your money on it, and you need to do things the way that you want to do things, the way that they make you smile. Or like, you're planning this whole day because you're excited by it, not because your mum or your auntie or your cousin or your sister or whoever it is has said you should do something.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a day. Look, it's a day to celebrate your love, and obviously, we just think you've made potentially the right decision in every aspect of your wedding planning. But
we're not biased at all.
Not biased at all. Well, one quick question: what would be your advice to like couples that are looking to like lock in their dream team? Right, like where do you find your vendors? Where's the best place to find them? How do you find them? What was your process for that?
I think for me, like, Instagram was everything. Like, it was the easiest place for us to start. Obviously we'd locked in our venue, or like we'd looked at our venue already, and I think just like scrolling through like the kind of venues that you like, and then looking at, okay, well, I really like these venues, who's taken these photos? Oh, there's a videographer link, like, what videos do they take? And really taking the time to look into it and like actually spend the time looking. Like, so many videos are completely different depending on the couple and their vibe. So you might look at one and be like, nah, this isn't my vibe at all, but the next video is exactly what you would want. So I think for us, like, we kind of found everyone through Instagram and then searched their pages and stalked every single video that they've ever posted or every single photo that they've posted, so we could make sure that it was really us. But yeah, it's such a great space to start. And if you go, like, just jump from like venue to photographer to videographer to florist to makeup artist to hairstylist, like, looking at that, looking at vendors that have worked together, like, if you're seeing photos and videos that you like literally stalking couples' weddings, even going to like the blogs that have like all of the information about the wedding, so you can see who the photographer was, who the videographer was. Like, I think we did that with one of the weddings. I don't know if you both shot it. I think it was Meg and someone, maybe.
Meg and Adrian?
Like, we went straight to that blog and went straight through who all the vendors were, so we could see like, oh yeah, this is definitely like our vibe. This is what we want. These are people who have worked with them, and kind of just went from there. So it's important to do your research, but Instagram is such a great way to start. Like, it's a great space to find everyone.
Wow. It's so awesome to hear. Like, me and Tim is like, we've got no words, because, like, everything you were saying really obviously resonates with us, and we are very excited by the fact not only that you've listened to pretty much, or maybe all of our episodes, which, it's always nice. You've even made Aidan listen to them as well. But, like, ultimately for us, it's really refreshing and so good to hear that you guys are so excited by what you have planned, that you've been really excited by the planning process, and that, like, ultimately you're just like, we're ready, we're keen, we are so confident in who we have around us that it's going to be an amazing day no matter what.
And more than that, you've actually enjoyed this as a couple as well. Like, you've enjoyed this whole process, and I think that's what is the best for me. Like that's just, it's so humbling. And like, yes, you've planned this amazing wedding, but you've also enjoyed the process throughout it. And that's what we want for all of our couples. So if you're a couple, if you're a bride, even a groom, like listening in, like these guys have some absolute golden nuggets today. And I cannot wait to share Aiden's golden nuggets. Love it, mate.
It's so, and I feel like, yeah, as Tim said, it's so refreshing to hear that you guys have like taken the time out as well to go and enjoy your engagement like period too, and just to do things that you know like I guess help those vibes stay high and help the excitement, because planning over 18 months is a long time and it can probably feel a bit draining after a while too. So going out and taking time and, you know, having a weekend away and things like that, I'm sure at the start Aidan was a bit like, what the heck are we doing? But you know, sounds like by now he's kind of he's seen the light.
Yeah. Well, he's enjoyed those 48 weekends away, so
Yeah, it's really good.
I guess before we go, last little words from you two. Is there any more golden nuggets? Anything you're like, if you're listening, you need to know this about the planning process, about the wedding, about anything that you have done to date?
Do you have anything?
I don't have anything.
listen to your fiance.
That's one. Yeah.
If you guys are, I reckon I could say one on your behalf, and it's actually go away for a weekend and make it fun. Make it fun to make a decision.
Yeah, I think so as well. It did make the whole process so fun. Like, I think you can get so caught up in the fact that you're getting married, and I guess like the expectations of everyone, not even necessarily negative, just everyone gets so excited that you're getting married and everyone has a billion questions. And I think like just going into it knowing that like you're doing exactly what you want and spending the day exactly how you would want, and just putting what everyone else wants kind of to the side. Like, yes, taking it in and involving those people in the process as well, and like to an extent, like still make your own decisions, but if you want to celebrate with them as well, like do things to make them feel a part of it, but just make sure you're walking into the day knowing that like, yeah, this is completely us. Like no matter what happens, I know that at the end of the day, like this wedding is going to be wholeheartedly who Aidan and I are, and whatever happens, it will be great because it will be us and it will be all the people that we love and all the vendors that we're super confident in. So yeah, I guess just go into it completely ready to have the best day, and just at the 3-week mark, just step back and let it happen.
Amazing.
You know what I love out of that is that you guys prioritize your relationship. And I feel like it's not something that me and Tim probably, or like, you know, in the wedding industry, we often talk about, because at the end of the day, like, you know, you're not just getting married for the fun of getting married. Like, you have a relationship, you want to be married, like, and I love that you just pointed out that, like, at the end of the day, the priority is us, and the priority is that we want to get married, and that, like, you know, you guys love each other, and that's amazing. You know, like, I feel like it's something we don't talk about very often, and I just love the fact that, yeah, like, you by you going away and you guys actually spending quality time together in this process is really important to you, and it's probably something that everybody could learn from for sure.
I'll go and say, like, that has probably built the foundations for you to get to the stage that you are now, and to being confident with those decisions, because that is some golden advice. I absolutely love that. All right, we can't say anything else about that. So if you're going to take away one thing, like, from this whole episode, please take away that.
It's so good. Kaitlyn and Aiden, you guys are bloody legends, and it has been such an honour to have you guys on, you know, because not everybody can come on 4 or 5 weeks before their wedding and have a good old chat about it. And you know what? I feel like after today's chat, we're definitely getting you back on for part 2 to relive the wedding experience, have a bit of a chat with you guys about it post-wedding. I feel like this episode is probably going to be dropping maybe like a week or so before your wedding, which is pretty cool as well. I'm not really sure where we're up to with what we're doing, but I feel like that's what's probably going to be happening. So yeah, you guys will definitely be back on you know, a few weeks after your wedding for sure. And yeah, man, I'm damn excited for it, and probably even more excited after today's chat, just because, you know what, we got to know you guys a little bit more, and it's been amazing. So Yeah.
Thanks for jumping on, guys.
No, thank you
Not a
so
problem.
much for
It's
having
been-
us. And it really is great advice that comes off this podcast. Like, it answered so many things that I didn't know I was even thinking about, and has helped with us feeling so confident. So you guys are doing a great job as well.
Oh, thank you. We
thanks.
appreciate that.
I don't. We're going to have a hard time getting off our chairs
Yeah.
and walk out our doors.
Yeah.
tonight. But,
Can you actually write that as a review for us?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, if you guys are listening and you do like what you're hearing, like these two have said, please jump on maybe wherever you're listening to this. So if it's Instagram, can't be Instagram, but if it's Spotify or if it's Apple iTunes or podcasts, make sure you leave us a review. We love to hear from you guys. We've had a couple recently, which is always very exciting. Me and Tim like to hear from you guys, making sure that what we are saying is resonating with you guys, and ultimately you're learning from this, and making sure that your wedding is epic. So until next week, we will see you all then. And thanks again, Kaitlyn and Aiden. You guys are legends, and we cannot wait for your wedding. Watch this space for part 2 with these guys because it's going to be bloody epic. But until next week, see you later. Bye.